Blue Jays announced they are parting ways with manager Charlie Montoyo. The Jays are currently 4th in the American League East, now 15.5 games back of the Yankees. So, Russ, Toronto is still in possession of the 3rd AL wildcard spot. So, does this surprise you that they made this move now?
Yes and no. Yes, because they are still, tied with the Mariners for that last wildcard spot. However, it's a team that many thought would be a lot better than they have played so far this season. For me, it was the team that I picked to represent the AL in the World Series. They're 46 and 42, 4th in the AL East. They're 2-8 in their last 10 games, and we've seen it a lot this season where you have teams like the Angels and the Phillies where it's like, hey, we should be playing so much better than we are, and we need to make a change and nip it in the bud now. If you're the Blue Jays, their management, their front office decided, hey, we still have a real opportunity to make the playoffs and make noise, but we have to stop this right here and right now.
Has it been more of a management thing for you in terms of why they've fallen short, or can you point to other things that they still need to improve on?
No, it's at the end of the day, the guys on the field have to perform. And for me, I look at this team and I say, they can't be at their ceiling if Vladimir Guerrero Jr. doesn't play like an MVP candidate. We saw he was the runner-up to Shohei Ohtani last year, had a fantastic season, and they were just like the Mariners and a team that won 90 games that missed out on the postseason. This year, he hasn't been nearly as good as he was last year. And look, that's going to happen sometimes, but Alejandro Kirk has been their best player. He's an all-star for a reason, but that's a team that has Vladdy Jr., they have George Springer, Santiago Espinal, they have Lourdes Gurriel, Teoscar Hernandez. Those are fantastic names. Bo Bichette.
Yes.
Like, these are star players in the big leagues, and they are 4 games above 500.
Yeah. I mean, do you think a new voice really can give this team a boost?
Well, there have been reports coming out today out of Toronto that there's been some dissension in the clubhouse, maybe a lack of leadership, and so that's why when you hear some things like that, that's when a change is usually made. But look, this is a team that wanted to go back to the postseason this year. And we saw with the Phillies, like, hey, we're going to hold. Somebody has to pay the price. It's not always fair. And we talked about that with Joe Girardi and both Joe Madden. It wasn't all those guys' fault either. But when you hold somebody accountable on those teams, it's like you can't cut 25 guys. Right. It has to be the manager.
That's exactly where I was going to go, because one of the things that I think doesn't get talked about enough is this organizational alignment that needs to happen. And it doesn't necessarily mean that everybody is always getting along with one another. Everybody believes in the same thing, but everybody has their momentum going in the same direction. And so when you don't have that alignment, you can either get rid of players, which is something you cannot do, or you got to find new leadership.
Right. It starts at the top. The manager, they set the tone, and especially when you're in a tough division like they are.